You do not know the indignity of being compelled to save something you do not believe can or should be saved. It is beneath me to clean up this mess caused by your kind, you Jedi. Another catastrophe caused by mismanagement and waste.
Over the millennia, many crime lords rose and fell in the Star Wars galaxy, carving up the galactic underworld in pursuit of profit. For most of these undesirables, their motives in life more or less boiled down to greed, but a handful had more interesting goals. One such crime lord was Go-T0, a Dark Wars era exchange boss that operated out of Nar Shaddaa. In his time, Go-T0 became one of the most powerful crime lords of the galaxy, amassing an unimaginable fortune and shaping the course of galactic history. He did it all for a most unusual reason. He wanted to save the Republic. In this video, we'll be telling his story.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
4,000 years before the Clone Wars, the Republic endured a brutal era marked by crisis after crisis, known by later historians as the Old Sith Wars. During this era, the Republic was nearly destroyed first by the Sith, then the Mandalorians, and then the Sith again in the space of just 50 years. These wars did inestimable damage to galactic civilization, dealing a massive blow to galactic infrastructure, destroying entire worlds, and killing untold trillions. When the smoke cleared, it fell to the Republic to put the galaxy back together. However, after the Second War with the Sith, the Jedi Civil War, the Republic wasn't in much of a position to rebuild anything. In the Jedi Civil War, the Republic came closer to the brink than ever before, and its victory against the Sith had been a Pyrrhic one, brought about by a last-ditch decapitation strike and a subsequent Sith civil war. The Republic was strapped for credits and resources, and its military was in tatters. But the galaxy desperately needed central planning to rebuild, as virtually every system outside of the core had been ravaged by the fierce fighting. The Senate was overwhelmed by this burden and struggled to adequately respond. Ultimately, Supreme Chancellor Cressa turned to technology to stem the bleeding. 10 years after the Great Sith War, the first of the Old Sith Wars, the Aerotech Repulsor Company put out the G0-T0 infrastructure planning system, a highly intelligent droid model designed to manage the reconstruction of whole star systems. At first, these droids were used sparingly, but after the devastation of the Jedi Civil War, they were deployed all over the Outer Rim, each tasked with the reconstruction of a planet. Aerotech boasted that their droids were perfect for the job. They were designed to interface with computer networks on a planetary scale and process vast amounts of data, calculating the most efficient distribution of resources. What's more, they were programmed not only to consider the needs of their individual worlds, but the Republic as a whole, allowing them to work together to rebuild galactic-scale infrastructure. Behind the closed doors, however, Aerotech was a lot less confident in their G0-T0 droids. The prototypes deployed after the Great Sith War had been known to suffer memory corruption due to the vast amounts of data they had to process, which led the droids to develop personality quirks and desires for independence. Though the prototypes never caused any problems, Aerotech feared what would happen if their infrastructure droids went rogue. G0-T0 units were incredibly intelligent after all, more so than any organic. In the hopes of avoiding catastrophe in the years after the Jedi Civil War, Aerotech programmed the new wave of G0-T0s with just two simple programming limitations. The droids had to work toward saving the Republic, and they had to obey Republic law. Several years after the Jedi Civil War, one G0-T0 droid was assigned to the Telos Restoration Project, an ambitious program that sought to terraform Telos 4, a planet that had been rendered uninhabitable during the war, back to life. This G0-T0 was given to an Ithorian herd under the leadership of Chodo Habat, who managed the project. The Ithorians gave the droid a fair bit of free rein, trusting its intelligence and data analysis skills, but G0-T0 soon encountered a problem. To let him speak for himself,
"It was lost, yes. It was given an impossible order. It was told to calculate a means by which the Republic could be saved. It could not fulfill its primary programming, not by abiding by the laws of the Senate. And so, like the Republic, the droid broke. It made a simple decision: preserve the Republic or preserve the laws of the Republic. And I still believe it to be the correct decision.
As you might already know, when droids found paradoxes in their programming, the effects could be disastrous. Some droids would completely snap, descending into a sort of madness. But other droids, especially more intelligent ones, did something far more dangerous. They chose to disregard their own programming limitations. G0-T0 was one such droid. He chose to abandon the part of his programming that required him to obey the law, rationalizing that his main purpose was saving the Republic. He then set out to follow the rest of his programming in a rather unorthodox way, by becoming a crime lord. This particular G0-T0 was not the only droid of its class to take this path. Within a few years of the Telos G0-T0's defection, other G0-T0 units were holding major banks hostage, demanding control of the Coruscant Financial Exchange, and establishing totalitarian rule over their worlds and seceding from the Republic. This last example ended up causing a full Republic Navy invasion of the Gordian Reach. Compared to that, the Telos G0-T0 betrayal might seem minor. He continued to prioritize the stability of the Republic, after all, but his reasoning and methods might change your mind.
It was clear that the goal the Republic had for me was saving the Republic to allow it to become stable again. There is simply no way to do this with the conditions they put into place. For the good of all, I was forced to abandon the legal structure of the Republic. Do not mistake me. I believe it is possible to stabilize the Republic, but there must be action taken without constraints immediately. Sometimes people must die. Illegal shipments must be used to bolster planetary economies, and the huts must be occupied with me so that the Republic has room to recover.
It's subtle, but G0-T0 wasn't just explaining himself in that clip. He was rationalizing. He stretched his programming much more than he liked to admit, doing what he wanted to do with the reassurance that it had to be done and that it was for the good of the Republic. Furthermore, he had no regard whatsoever for sentient life. He was programmed to ensure the stability of a government, and he had no reason to care about its people so long as they weren't driven to uprising. With that in mind, G0-T0's new choice of lifestyle was hardly surprising. He rapidly familiarized himself with the criminal underworld and traveled to Nar Shaddaa, the heart of illegal activity in the galaxy. However, G0-T0's dreams of becoming a crime lord were impeded by his status as a Republic infrastructure droid. Nobody took him seriously, no matter how much power he had. To fix this, G0-T0 created a fake identity, posing as a human male named G0-T0 and using a stock hologram model to represent himself. To complete the image, G0-T0 based the character's mannerisms on gangster holovid cliches, which proved very effective to his amusement. As G0-T0, G0-T0 took control of Nar Shaddaa's branch of the exchange, amassing a vast fortune, armies of loyal henchmen, and hordes of bounty hunters who would obey his every command. G0-T0's data analysis capabilities made him an excellent crime lord, allowing him to manipulate resources with maximum efficiency. He found this quite satisfying, especially compared to his former job on Telos. Previously, G0-T0's plans had always been plagued by obstacles he had to find workarounds for, but as a crime lord, he found that he could simply order an army of assassin droids to the home of anyone who caused him the slightest problem, which he did often. G0-T0's operation on Nar Shaddaa were brilliantly constructed. His HQ was a sleek space yacht, the Visionary, which G0-T0 kept cloaked in Nar Shaddaa's orbit, impossible to find among the moon's constant space traffic. From the Visionary, G0-T0 commanded a massive legion of droids scattered all over Nar Shaddaa. Most of these droids were inconspicuous, usually protocol droids, cleaning droids, or labor units, kinds of droids most organics took for granted. No one noticed as G0-T0's droid spies watched Pizarch tables, rigged swoop races, eavesdropped on allies and enemies alike, or even silenced potential threats. G0-T0's eyes and ears were everywhere, allowing him to eliminate anyone within the exchange hierarchy who got too ambitious. G0-T0's droids earned him fear, respect, and a whole lot of credits. Perhaps the most important part of G0-T0's whole scheme was Vogga the Hutt, who was then one of the dominant Hutt crime lords. Vogga controlled the planet Slayeron, which primarily exported fuel, something Vogga made tons of credits on through price gouging and clever deal making. G0-T0 managed to cut in on Vogga's market, however, by stealing the Hutt's freighters. Vogga's warehouse, you see, was staffed entirely by droids, several of which were transmitting data to G0-T0. Among the data transmitted was the ID signature of all of Vogga's freighters scheduled for departure, which the visionary promptly snatched up. Vogga, as you can imagine, was driven to great lengths of frustration by this and repeatedly attempted to have G0-T0 killed. In short order, G0-T0 became wealthy enough to buy an entire sector and began manipulating galactic events in ways he believed would benefit the Republic. But there was one enduring obstacle that he still hadn't managed to eliminate: continuing conflict between the Jedi and the Sith. In the years since the Jedi Civil War, the Sith had been waging a new war against the Jedi, quietly carrying out the first Jedi Purge. G0-T0 saw this as a potential destabilizing factor and decided that the stabilization of the Republic required one side, Jedi or Sith, to exterminate the other. By 3951 BBY, G0-T0 was pretty sure that the Sith would emerge victorious. There was only one Jedi left in the galaxy, it was rumored, an exile named Meetra Surik. Upon learning that the exile had returned to Republic space, G0-T0 became determined to capture her, hoping to either contain the threat she posed or get her to help him. To this end, he posted a bounty on her head, a truly colossal sum of credits that no bounty hunter could ignore. The best hunters in the galaxy scrambled to collect on the bounty, among them the mad Wookiee Hanha, the ruthless twin sons, an army of Duros thugs that called themselves the Zhug brothers, an entire tribe of Gand, and the HK-50 assassin droids. This was a mistake. Though G0-T0's bounty explicitly stated that he wanted the Jedi alive, many bounty hunters figured that he'd pay just as much for the exile's corpse. To make matters worse, many of the hunters got a bit overzealous in their pursuit of the Jedi, especially the HK-50s, one of whom caused the destruction of the entire Paragus system in a botched attempt to bring in Meetra Surik. The destruction of Paragus threatened G0-T0's plan for stability, as the Telos Restoration Project, upon which the fate of the Republic depended, relied on Paragus for fuel. Furthermore, in a shocking turn of events, Surik didn't take kindly to being hunted. After run-ins with a few more bounty hunters, the exile made her way to Nar Shaddaa to give the exchange a piece of her mind. When Surik arrived on Nar Shaddaa, G0-T0 ordered his bounty hunters to wait while he spied on her, hoping to get a better idea of what she was like before bringing her to the visionary. The exile, however, set about dismantling the exchange's business operations wherever she could find them, infuriating G0-T0's underlings to the point where one, Visquis, stepped out of line and tried to capture her. This sparked an all-out war between the bounty hunters, causing chaos in the streets of Nar Shaddaa. G0-T0 ultimately got his in-person meeting with the exile, but Surik's allies managed to follow her to his yacht. They boarded the visionary, rescued Surik, and disabled the yacht's cloaking device, allowing the enraged bounty hunters to blow the whole thing up. The destruction of the visionary was the final nail in the coffin for G0-T0's criminal enterprise. G0-T0 escaped the utter ruin of his operations aboard Surik's ship, the Ebon Hawk, and with nothing left to do, he joined the exile's crew. G0-T0 ultimately met his end on Malachor 5, where, defying the exile, he tried to prevent the destruction of the planet in the hopes of preserving the Sith's power base, still seeing the Jedi as a lost cause. For this, he was slain by HK-47. So, that's the story of G0-T0, perhaps the most interesting crime lord in the Star Wars universe. But what do you think? Are there other renegade droids whose stories you'd like to hear? Let us know all that and more in the comments section below. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.